Sessions Cafe with your host, Keri D. Singleton.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sessions Cafe. I'm your host, Keri D. Singleton, and today we welcome a very good friend of mine, Bryan Casey, all the way from the Ocean State, a.k.a. Rhode Island. For those of you who are not geographically inclined, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So you came all the way down here. Did you leave Stewie behind up there with his father?
I did.
The Family Guy family, you left them behind?
I did, but I ended up sitting a dog when I got here anyway.
Oh, yeah, you did. You did.
So, yeah.
But you left the Core Hog family behind.
I did.
Okay. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you.
It's been a long time. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you, Ryan.
Now, you're very soft-spoken and quiet, but you really do a lot of really cool things. And you've, as long as I've known you, since 2014, I think, we met in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is a suburb of Boston, home of Harvard University and MIT, the two colleges that Boston takes credit for, but that are really in Cambridge, which is a whole other county.
True.
We met there, I think it was at a diner or something, to discuss you directing and filming a film short for my first book, which is where this conversation starts. I mean, you're a short film director and writer, and you've been doing that for more of your life than just a little bit. So when, let's roll back to the beginning.
For quite a while.
12 years old when you and your dad?
I made my first when I was 12.
Your first?
Years old, yes. I got a camera for Christmas that year from my dad.
What kind of camera was it?
It was an 8mm.
Okay, I'm not familiar, but some people would be.
So it's the kind you put a cartridge in and just kind of
old school.
Very. And we made our first film. It was a horror movie.
You and your dad did?
No, I shot it with my brother and sister. My dad was just one that inspired it. He bought me the camera and
And how were you? Because I remember you telling me something about your dad and you watching horror movies, and that's what kind of got you inspired.
Yeah, that was after my parents separated. I'd go there on the weekends, and we would watch a program called The Creature Double Feature, which you may remember.
That.
Yeah,
yes.
and
Creature Double Feature,
so
Godzilla, and
all of them. I got familiar with Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney, Abbott and Costello through their horror movie, and I just got fascinated by the makeup used in those films.
The makeup?
Yeah, that was my first interest in filmmaking, was makeup.
Now, I'm assuming, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm assuming you're not talking about the makeup that the actors in the horror, in the Creature Double Feature
Not from my
movies.
initial interest, no.
Right, it was the
horror,
creatures.
the makeup for the monsters.
Explain for those that are not familiar with those movies.
Well, you know, there's a special effect called stretch and stipple. It's often used, that's with latex. There's mold making that's involved. And I like the idea of creating characters. That's what got me into makeup most.
To turn the people, actors, into the Godzilla.
Exactly.
Into Rodan. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, so it became a hobby of mine. Every Halloween, you know, I'd use whatever money I had from my paper route or something, and every year they had a drugstore down the street that would always have a big Halloween set up, and I would buy whatever I could, fake blood and fake skin and all that. And I'd just practice and practice.
To create a monster look for a person for Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. You grew up in Providence.
I grew up a lot of places.
In Rhode Island.
Oh yeah, throughout Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it was an interest for a long time until I finally realized that there were schools you could go to specifically.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me do my job. Yeah, because I got all this information. His whole life story is right here. He just doesn't know it. This is his whole life in 3 cards. No, I'm just kidding. But you were inspired by watching films with your father. I know that must have been really cool into your core.
Yeah.
Your first short film, Sunny Acres Massacre.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Okay. Well, we were into horror movies in general. You know, we had just recently seen films such as The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And how old were we talking?
About 12.
Okay, 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was the 80s. Nobody
Wow.
watched their kids,
Wow.
so you could watch horror
I know,
movies.
right?
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we shot it at our trailer park that we lived in, Sunny Acres, hence the name.
The name,
So,
yeah.
And it was, just really a thrown together film, about 4 minutes long, and we used Ketchup for Blood.
And you used that 8mm camera that you
yeah,
got.
Yeah. And my friend who was taking karate at the time, he became our hero, simply because he knew a few karate moves.
Right,
yeah.
right.
And I had to play the killer. We had this really ridiculous looking flying man mask that I'd wear. And, we just kind of copied all the cliches we saw in all the horror movies, with hands sneaking out of nowhere,
Right.
and we just, basically, there wasn't much story. It's
Right.
4 minutes, so we just kind of got right to it. And as these things happen in real life, so.
But Bryan, do you still have any of this footage?
Oh, I wish.
Oh, so do I.
I definitely would, but we moved around a lot, so unfortunately, this and the sequel are lost to history.
So then you, as you got older, specifically after you graduated from high school, you decided you'd found a school for FX makeup, which you'll have to explain to me, in
Yes.
Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
Which is quite a distance on the other end of the East Coast from Rhode Island.
Yes.
But that's where you wanted to go to school.
Well, it was the one that I used to subscribe to a magazine called Fangoria.
I remember Fangoria.
And
Wow, you were a creep as a
yeah.
kid. And in a good way. I mean, you like creepy, you like cool stuff.
so, yeah, it was advertised in there. And I did a little bit of research, but, we didn't have internet then, so you just mostly reading magazines about it.
What is FX makeup? What is that?
Special effects makeup is just basically creating the illusion of, it could be injuries, it could be a third eye, it could be, and it's just anything that's outside the ordinary of makeup.
Okay.
So I found a school I wanted to go to, but they didn't do anything like traditional school. You get a grant or something.
Financial aid or scholarships,
So I had to save it for myself, and it was about 10 grand to save up, and for a 21-year-old guy, that was quite a bit. So
yeah, of course.
But when I focused on something, I tend to just get really fixated on it, and so I just worked a lot. And I was walking back and forth to work 7 miles a day.
Wow,
in every kind of weather.
dedicated.
And I just had my dream, and I just decided I'm going to make this happen.
So did you end up raising enough money from working to go to Orlando? Wow.
I did, yeah.
What was that experience like for you being in a school for makeup in Orlando? That must have been like a dream come true for you, man.
It was like playing. It was like being kids playing, you know. And it was basically doing the same thing I was doing, as a kid. Just, of course, refining techniques, and we had better materials to work with.
Clearly.
And going out for lunch breaks was fun, in full makeup.
In full makeup. Yeah. And then along the way, you became a makeup artist.
I did.
I never, as long as I've known you, I never knew that at your core, you started as a makeup artist.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk to me about how you were inspired and that journey.
No, I just started going out. The first time I had a chance to work on a film was a local group got together to do discussions on film.
Okay.
And, people started showing up, actors here, set dresser there, and then they got the idea of making a film together. So they advertised in the local newspaper, and I read the ad, and I was like, oh, that sounds like, here's my chance, because I hadn't really done anything with the makeup yet. So and it was interesting because the guy running it was an old friend from Cub Scouts together.
Okay,
so,
cool, wow.
So he looked the same pretty much, he just taller with a beard, but yeah, I came down there and I told him what I do. I do makeup, and that was my first gig.
And this was in Rhode Island.
But yeah, we shot that in Newport.
Well, talk to me about the film and how that experience was for you, like, because now you're actually working on set.
Well,
right?
It was exciting because it was my first time doing a film production. Not the best situation for setup as far as makeup, because a lot of these were amateur filmmakers, so they didn't really make enough time because makeup takes very long to do it properly. and you had to do multiple lighting tests, etc.
Oh,
so
yeah, tell me, I know about it. Yeah.
So I wasn't completely happy with the work because the makeup was a little bit light for what we were doing.
Okay.
But you learn. It's like anything else.
Well, were you proud of your work? I mean, I'm assuming that
I was proud.
you
It was
weren't
an
making it
interesting
look like
film.
RuPaul or something.
I thought it was yeah.
They weren't like.
No.
But you were able to make them enhance features and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it fascinating to see your work on camera though, and how you were able to accentuate their facial features?
I mean, at that time it was just regular makeup.
Okay.
So it wasn't quite what I wanted to do. I knew it was a step in the right direction. And I actually got my second gig from right out of that. A
Long Dark Road.
This would be several years into doing makeup throughout New England. I did effects makeup for a horror film feature.
Really?
And we had originally had a deal where I can be paid a certain amount of money. Unfortunately, they couldn't end up doing it because how it goes in the indie film scene, unfortunately. But I told them that I had a few scripts and I'd like to take a shot at directing. And so we just sort of bartered. I did their makeup for plenty of days, and they shot and edited my first official short film.
Wow. And so what was the premise of the film? What was the synopsis for that first film?
Funny. Not funny, but something that happened later. But it was just a simple. My inspiration for storytelling was always Twilight Zone.
Gotcha.
Rod Serling.
Rod Serling's one of the best.
So it wasn't anything groundbreaking. It was a very simple premise. Guys driving down the road, picks up a stranger, and the story unfolds slowly but surely who the stranger is to the driver.
Okay.
And it turns out that this is someone he had murdered out of jealousy.
Wow.
And this is the ghost.
The ghost of the person he murdered.
They picked up.
Now, I've always wanted to ask you this. What's the difference between, the main differences in the between short films and feature films? What are some of the main, obviously the length of the project, that's obvious, but what are some of the other important differences?
Well, I think with short films you can take more chances.
What do you mean?
Well, because there's no money, not much money involved, and you can it's all about story.
Right.
And the more once you get to the part where you're raising money and budgeting a film, then it becomes more about selling a product, and everything has to be planned around that.
Right.
So that changes how it's done.
So with a short film, you're focusing solely on
the story,
creativity and telling a story.
Yeah.
And you got to tell it pretty quickly, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is it's more challenging than it sounds.
No,
because most film festivals want 10 to 15 minutes, and if you've got this idea and you just run it right, and next thing you know, you get a 40 script,
right,
and you have to cut that down in a way. So, and when I first started writing, I think I was overwriting. I was doing too much dialogue.
Maybe too much character development, too much.
Not too much character development, just too much dialogue. Just scenes where just people talking and telling the story through dialogue instead of just letting the scene.
Gotcha.
But eventually you learn that you got to get in and out of a scene when you're writing as quickly as possible. We're
going to talk more when we come back from this break. I have a lot more to ask you, and we will be right back after this. And we're back with Bryan Casey. Bryan, a lot of times we have moments in our lives that totally change the trajectory of our lives, or at least the trajectory of our thoughts, maybe our lifestyles, maybe certainly our journeys.
Yeah.
And I know that you and your dad were very close. He was his twin.
Yeah.
I've seen you two together. Yeah. In 2016, unfortunately, Dad passed away. Mm-hmm. How did that event, at its core, change Bryan Casey?
Well, here's the thing. When I don't do films, I work in nursing, and so one thing you lose is the luxury of denial. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of forced to deal with things head on. My dad was staying in a nursing home briefly. I didn't know he had cancer right away.
Yeah.
He had had it previously, but it had been removed. I accidentally found out because I went with him on a visit to the doctor, and they brought up that word, and my dad, of course, was going into denial, saying cancer-ish, cancer-like, and the doctor corrected him and said cancer. And
so your dad knew that he had it, but he was in denial, but you didn't know at all.
Yeah. So I thought he was generally all right, and then from there, from that appointment, he had to get rushed to the hospital, and then from there he ended up in a nursing home to recover.
Wow.
He had to do a surgery.
Right.
And I remember it was actually the nursing home that I worked at, so I was at least happy that he was.
Oh, you were
nearby.
working at the nursing home.
Yeah,
that he was
so
in.
I'd pick up overnights, and he was comforted by that.
Right, so you were able to see. Yeah.
And according to the nurse I worked with, he would talk about me constantly. Oh. In fact, I remember when I was in Intrigue magazine, I had a copy of that, and he was showing that to everybody.
Oh.
It was just,
Wow.
Yeah, so and I remember one night when I was taking him to the restroom, and we just had a really candid moment where he said, "Get me out of here. I don't want to live here and die here."
Right.
So he ended up going home, and where he lived with his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And I was working at the time like 70 hours a week, and then I was doing like another 30, taking care of him, and which is very taxing emotionally.
Emotionally, yeah.
And to tell you the truth, actually, I haven't really talked much about this. But at the same time, I felt like it is a duty to your family in times like this.
Right.
And so I was honored to be there when he needed me. I wasn't there, unfortunately, the day he died, but I was there for most of the days. Yeah. In fact, I was there the day before, but I knew he was going to go soon when I saw him that day.
That had to have been tough because, like I said, I know that you and Dad were close. Yeah. Man. Yeah. How did that experience alter your own outlook on health, your own health? Because sometimes we experience things like other people's demise or other people's health failings, and we take a different look, a more critical look at how we take care of ourselves.
Yeah, you can't help doing that, you
right.
know. And seeing him pass away, because he was 50 pounds overweight. You know, he had diabetes also, and you know, he didn't really take the best care of himself. But he was always very affable, very friendly and outgoing. You know, even up to when he was passing away, he just never let it really get him down. He always had a joke or whatever, you know. And but yeah, just watching him slowly lose weight and get sicker, weaker, it was tough.
How did it change your feelings towards your health, though?
It made me look at my health a lot, because at the time I was like 230, which is the biggest I've ever been. And it reminded me that not so much to take better care of myself, but to take care of myself. Because I never really took care of myself.
Okay.
I didn't give any thought. Like I said, I'd let a lot of weight pile on. And, you know, so I started exercising, which I'd never done either. And I don't know why, but I just got suddenly very inspired to lose the weight and turn my health around, because I didn't want the same fate.
Right.
And you know, so, and I already had genetics to work with.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, and then I met an actress that she was vegan, and she kind of inspired me to try going vegan.
Okay.
I hadn't really been cutting back meat for quite some time.
So it wasn't that difficult.
It wasn't, no.
The transition.
So first I started being pescatarian, which is a diet where you can eat only chicken and fish.
Right.
Not long after that, I gave up meat for a little while. Then one day decide to try meat again, and you don't realize how much you feel the meat in you.
Yes, I've been there, sir.
No joke. But,
This guy.
But you don't know how it affects your body, because you're told when you're 40 you just slow down. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that now. That's but I definitely felt it for several days.
Right.
And then once I was free of it and I was clear, and I was like, oh, I don't want to feel that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel that sluggishness
That's
anymore.
right. Exactly.
So I ended up becoming vegetarian,
Mm-hmm.
which is of course no meat. But I did that for a couple of years, and then finally I made the switch about 5.5 years ago to go full vegan.
Let me ask you a question. The short answer.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between a vegan and a vegetarian?
Well, the main difference is vegetarianism is a diet. Veganism is more of a philosophy.
Oh, okay.
And depending on what vegan you ask, if you ask a pure vegan, they'll say the only pure vegan is one that does it for moral reasons, for compassion for animals.
Got you. All right. So it's not just about I'm not going to do this because of my health. It's I'm not going to do this because I care about eggs and chickens and embryos and things of that nature.
Yeah. I mean, there are other reasons people do it. Some people do it for health, because it does have many health benefits.
Mm-hmm.
They do it for the environment. They do it for the environment. So it becomes a philosophy lifestyle. But I don't think anybody does it overnight. It's a slow process, because there are a lot of things that animal products are in that you not aware of.
Right.
And you eventually educate yourself. And the food, getting rid of the food is easy.
Right.
That's the easiest part. I think after like the first 30 days, I broke the addiction to meat, and I just didn't even crave it anymore.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But then you start looking at things like your clothing, and you start getting rid of things like leather and furs and anything like that.
Wow.
So
it is like a lifestyle. So it's and you're now the traveling vegan.
Yeah.
You've I know one thing about you that's fascinating. My mother, by the way, who says hello, is finds your posts on social media fascinating. 20 different countries, 6 different continents. Only continent you haven't visited is Antarctica.
Yeah.
But you've been all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired that need? I'm going to call it a need. The need to travel.
Well, a couple of things I'd like to point out. One, like I said, my dad and I were very close, so we had a lot of things in common. And one thing my dad was very curious, and he liked to explore. And he'd seen a few countries, being in the Navy. Mm-hmm. And I know that I found out after the fact that he had always wanted to go to see the wonders himself.
The 7 wonders of the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And aside from the 7 wonders, he always wanted to see the pyramids of Giza, because he was very interested in Egyptian philosophy, culture. So. I don't know. I guess I had what I look back as a Forrest Gump moment. There's a part in the movie where he just decides he's just going to start running.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't know where he's going, and yet he does.
Right.
Kind of a thing. And it's just, along with taking stock of my health, I kind of also took stock of a lot of living I wasn't doing, really. I got too involved with the filmmaking stuff and too busy with work, and it was just very stressful, because generally I don't like doing like social events and stuff like that. And I just decided I needed to get out of my comfort zone, as far away as possible.
Yes.
Because growing up I was very shy, very quiet. I wouldn't leave the house without a family member, almost like a security blanket. And so to be able to go to other states, other countries, other continents on my own is a pretty big deal. And so I figured, so I set up a structure that I was going to really originally follow. That was the 7 continents, 7 world wonders. And, I would end up traveling to all these countries. That would bring me way out of everything I'm familiar with. And I thought it was a chance to grow as a person.
And as a person, I don't want to interrupt you, but as a person that loves to cook, because you're one hell of a cook.
Thank you.
Do you enjoy sampling all of the various foods?
Oh yeah.
I know you do.
I have for a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, it's hard to tell which inspires which. My love of food tends to be exotic. or the travel. It kind of just goes hand in hand. You have to be curious to travel the world. You have to be
absolutely.
You have to want to understand people and understand the world you live in and what your place is in it. And I think one of the most important things about traveling is that you become a diplomat, whether you want to or not. Yeah, exactly, because you have to understand some countries you go to, your way is going to be very different.
Right, of course.
And your attitude is going to be different. And you have to, you may also be the first American someone's met.
Right.
And so you could be very much responsible for how they react to the next American.
Perspective, right, yeah,
like,
right.
You know, like the next person, if I gave a bad impression, and someone else comes to meet this person, they say, "Oh God, no, I want to with them again."
Right.
Yeah. But
so let me ask you a question. Has travel inspired any future film themes? Because I know that you're not over with your love of film is not finished. I know you just recently completed a project called Fall.
Yes.
And I wonder if you're traveling. And I think we probably only have like a little bit more than a minute left.
Yeah.
But if I want to know if the things that you've seen around the globe, has that inspired any of your future film projects?
I'd like to do a film in Ireland.
Okay.
Because my family's from Ireland and Portugal. So, and I went on a trip to those two countries back to back. I don't know. I'd really like to do something in Ireland.
Okay.
I'm not even sure what the story would be, but there's just so much scenery to take in.
And we do have 1 minute left. You have a future podcast project called The Wandering Vegan.
Yeah.
And I would like to know if you could give me a quick synopsis in 30 seconds.
Oh, basically it's me rambling on about myself.
No, it isn't.
So, well, you know, it's a mix of. I've got 3 episodes done. When I have 12 finished, I'll edit them, and then I'll hopefully come down here and show some more.
Absolutely.
And because there was actually one plan I'd like to have, if this all comes to fruition, would be a joint thing of the 2 shows. Okay. And I had the perfect meeting spot for an interview.
Okay. Well,
But it's going to depend on how daring you're going to be.
Yeah, we don't want to say that on camera because I don't want to have to commit to it or deny on camera.
That's
but
right.
yeah,
That's right.
man, we're out of time.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing your story and being so candid, so transparent, and so full of soul.
Yeah.
In terms of giving us your story, I really appreciate you, Bryan.
Thanks for having me.
And I look forward to traveling with you at some point.
Okay.
I know we've had that conversation,
Yes.
but time will tell.
Yeah.
But you got to come back. Absolutely come back so we can talk about your podcast project.
Okay.
So thank you for coming on the show, Mr. Bryan Casey, the Wandering Vegan. And we will see you guys next week right here.
Sessions Cafe with your host, Keri D. Singleton.